Over the years, we've had some incredible performances by rookie quarterbacks. But how do they stack up against each other? Today, we answer that question by ranking the top 10 rookie quarterback seasons in NFL history. So let's jump right into it. At number 10, we have Dan Marino. Spoiler alert, this list isn't going to have too many quarterbacks from before the turn of the century. It's not a recency bias thing, it's more of a rookie quarterbacks didn't play very often back then, and when they did, they weren't very good thing. Don't believe me? From 1971 to 2003, not a single quarterback won Offensive Rookie of the Year. It was 33 straight years of fullbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. Quarterback just didn't used to be an instant impact, instant playing time type of position. Guys would sit and learn for a few years way more than they do now, which is exactly why Dan Marino's rookie year is so impressive. Marino started the 1983 season as a backup to David Woodley, but Woodley only made it 5 games before Miami realized he was big stinky and it was time to hand the keys to Marino. And like a responsible designated driver, Marino took those keys and got everyone home nice and safe, because in only 11 games he threw for 2,210 yards, 20 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions. Extrapolate those numbers over a 16-game season and we'd be looking at 3,214 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Now you might be thinking, even with those abbreviated numbers over 11 games, did Marino not have a case for Offensive Rookie of the Year? After all, he was the quarterback for a 12-4 Dolphins team, and we know quarterbacks generally get preferential treatment. Well, he might have won it if Eric Dickerson didn't decide to run for 1,800 yards and 18 touchdowns as a rookie. Psychopath. Marino did finish second in the voting, but more importantly, even with the Dolphins losing in the divisional round to the Seahawks that year, Miami could be confident they found their quarterback of the future. And surely he would lead them to a championship at some point, right? Right? At number 9, we're keeping with the theme of abbreviated rookie seasons that are still too good to ignore, because we've got Brock Purdy. Now, before you pull out the pitchforks and torches because I put Purdy above Marino, hear me out. I'm not saying Purdy is better than Marino, but when we rank these rookie quarterback seasons, we're looking at everything, meaning we take into account both individual numbers and playoff success. Now, as we go further up the ranking, there will be some guys who had no playoff success and instead just had stupidly insane otherworldly statistics, but the point is we have to try to balance the two. So in steps Brock Purdy, who, like Dan Marino, didn't play a full rookie season, but put up great numbers in the games he did play. He only started 6 games, but in those 6 starts put up 1,308 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Over a 17-game season, that paces out to 3,706 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. More importantly though, unlike Marino, Purdy led the Niners to not 1, but 2 playoff wins, and very well could have been the first rookie quarterback to play in a Super Bowl if not for an elbow injury that knocked him out of the NFC Championship game. Rookie quarterbacks winning multiple playoff games is not normal. It only happened 3 other times before Purdy did. And no disrespect to Mark Sanchez, Joe Flacco, or Dieter Brock, but their playoff success wasn't accompanied by numbers anywhere near as good as Purdy's. 2022's Mr. Irrelevant slots in as a deserving number 9. Alright, as much as Marino and Purdy's accomplishments were impressive, I couldn't really put them any higher than number 10 and number 9 because they only played partial seasons. It's fun to project what they could have done if they played 16 or 17 games, but we have to give proper credit to the guys that actually did, including the man that occupies the number 8 spot on our list, Andrew Luck. As of today, Luck still holds the record for most passing yards by a rookie quarterback with 4,374. He also threw 23 touchdowns and added 255 rushing yards and 5 more touchdowns on the ground, but much like the Oklahoma City Thunder in the next few NBA drafts, he had way too many picks, which is why he's not further up in our ranking. Still, Luck took a team that just went 2-14 and turned them into an 11-5 team with a playoff appearance, which turned out to be a wild card loss to the eventual Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens. Overall, it was a very solid season for Luck, and an encouraging one for the Indianapolis Colts, who could be confident they found their quarterback of the future. Surely there would be no catastrophic, unpredictable developments that would prevent that from being the case, right? Right? Yeah, here we go! At number 7, we've got Dak Prescott. As a 4th-round pick in 2016, the Cowboys had no intention of starting Dak his rookie year, but even the best laid plans go out the window when your starting quarterback breaks his back in week 3 of the preseason. Tony Romo's injury forced Dak into the starting role, and he ran with it. 3,667 yards, 23 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions, along with 282 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns, en route to being named the 2016 Offensive Rookie of the Year. Dak led the Cowboys to a 13-3 record and the number 1 seed in the NFC, and while their season did come to a screeching halt as they were upset by Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in the divisional round, this was still a wildly impressive season for a 4th-round rookie quarterback to put together. Coming in at number 6, we've got one of Andrew Luck's counterparts from the 2012 draft class, and it's the one who ultimately ripped the Offensive Rookie of the Year award away from him, Robert Griffin III. Over the last 20 years, we've seen a pretty drastic shift away from the traditional pocket passer in favor of quarterbacks that can skedaddle at least a little bit. And we can really trace that shift back to 2012, because that was the first time ever that the NFL had 4 quarterbacks run for at least 400 yards, which doesn't sound like a lot by today's standards, but the previous high was 3 quarterbacks over 400 yards, which was achieved the year prior in 2011, and before that, you'd be lucky to find one, and if you did, it was usually Michael Vick. Point being, RG3 was a key figure in revolutionizing the position, because as a rookie, he ran for 815 yards, a number we hadn't seen by anyone other than Michael Vick or Randall Cunningham up to that point, and 7 rushing touchdowns, along with 3,200 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. Thanks to RG3, Washington went from 5-11 to 10-6 with a playoff appearance. Now, this season definitely didn't end the way he wanted it to, because not only did Washington lose to Seattle in the wildcard round, Griffin tore his ACL and LCL in the process. But it was still a rookie season for the ages. And besides, surely he'll make a full recovery and this injury won't hold him back and he'll have a long, fulfilling career as a dual-threat quarterback for years to come. Right? Right? Okay, I'm done with that bit. Before we get into the top 5, you guys know the drill. We gotta give a shout out to MyBookie for sponsoring this video. If you guys are into sports betting or are looking to get into it, as always, do it responsibly. But if you are getting into it, MyBookie is the place to be. Trying them out and signing up with my code is a way to directly support both me and this channel, and that code is Benchwarmer. And there's something in it for you too, because if you use my code, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $1,000. Now, we don't have much time left to bet on the NFL. There are only 3 games left as we enter championship weekend, which makes me depressed just saying it out loud. So here are some of the bets I'm getting in while I still can. I like Saquon Barkley over 129.5 rushing yards. A gaudy number, but he's gone for at least 146 in both games against the Commanders this year, and their run D stinks. I also like Austin Eckler over 24.5 receiving yards. He torched the Eagles for 89 receiving yards on 8 catches the last time he faced them, and this feels like a pretty easy line to reach with the Commanders moving the ball the way they are. And lastly, I'm going with Josh Allen over 48.5 rushing yards. He beat this line against the Chiefs earlier this year, and you just know when it comes down to crunch time, he's willing to take care of business himself. So that's what I'm rolling with this weekend. You guys can tail me, fade me, do whatever you want to do. Just make sure that when you do it, you use code Benchwarmer when you sign up. All right, let's get into the top 5. Now, while the 2012 season was pivotal because of the amount of mobile quarterbacks it produced, the concept of a rookie quarterback entering the league and lighting it on fire with his legs wasn't new to the fans, because they just saw it the year prior. RG3's 2012 season was special, but Cam Newton's 2011 season was truly a sight to behold. 4,051 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, and 17 interceptions, along with 706 rushing yards and 14 touchdowns on the ground. Nowadays, Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts make that number feel normal. But at the time, no other quarterback had even sniffed that total. The next closest guy was Steve Grogan with 12 back in 1976. Cam was a revelation, and you could argue he busted down the door so RG3, Russell Wilson, and Colin Kaepernick could walk through it the year after. Oh, and shocker, he won Offensive Rookie of the Year, unanimously. The biggest blemish on Cam's rookie season is that his team just wasn't very good at all. But Cam still has a spot in the top 5 as far as I'm concerned because of just how dominant he was individually. At number 4, we've got yet another quarterback from that loaded 2012 class, Russell Wilson. Now, Wilson's numbers aren't as eye-popping as Cam's, but they're still really, really good. 3,118 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, along with 489 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. But why is he above Cam? Because like I said before, as we get toward the top of this list, you're gonna find more guys who had both incredible numbers and playoff success. Russ is the only guy we brought up so far, other than partial season Brock Purdy, who actually won a playoff game as a rookie. Which again, is not an easy feat. Only 13 guys in the history of the league have ever done it. But Russ did it. He went from being a 3rd-round pick to jumping Matt Flynn on the depth chart, who had just signed a huge contract with Seattle, to having an outstanding statistical season, to winning a playoff game against his fellow rookie, Robert Griffin III. And while Seattle's season came to an end in the divisional round against the Falcons, Russ still popped off in that game too. 385 yards, 2 touchdowns and 1 pick, plus 7 carries for 60 yards and another touchdown on the ground. Again, as a rookie. Such a well-rounded rookie season absolutely belongs here at number 4. At number 3, I'm going with Justin Herbert in 2020. But Brand, didn't you just say playoffs matter at the top of the ranking? I did. And don't worry, the top 2 spots are going to guys who won playoff games. But I still think you deserve a spot in the top 3 when you put together the best regular season by a rookie quarterback in NFL history. Herbert threw for 4,336 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions while adding 234 rushing yards and 5 more touchdowns on the ground. He set the record for most passing touchdowns by a rookie with 31, most completions with 396, and most 300-yard games with 8. He also fell just 38 yards short of Andrew Luck's record for rookie passing yards while playing 1 fewer game. If he got the starting job from the jump instead of having to wait for Tyrod Taylor to get stabbed in the lung by a team doctor prior to week 2, he would have that record for sure. And he probably would have broken Cam's record for most total yards by a rookie quarterback too, as he finished just 214 yards shy of that while, again, playing 1 fewer game. But even though Cam and Herbert have extremely similar yardage and touchdown totals, the reason Herbert gets the edge is because he protected the ball way better. The only real statistical criticism you could make of Cam's rookie season is the 17 interceptions. With Herbert only having 10, there really is no criticism to make. Which is good, because Herbert has racked up a lot of criticism since then. Mainly, why can't you play as well as you did your rookie year, and stop choking in the playoffs! At number 2, it's another combo of statistical greatness and playoff success, and pretty strong evidence that rookie quarterbacks are just getting better and better as the years go on. It's CJ Stroud in 2023. No one expected such a quick turnaround for Houston after drafting Stroud, but they went from 3-13-1 to 10-7 faster than you could say Joel Dreesen. That's what happens when you draft a quarterback who immediately leads the league in passing yards per game and has the lowest interception rate among all quarterbacks en route to an overall stat line of 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. But as we know, Stroud wasn't just a stat merchant because he also led his team not only to the playoffs, but a playoff win in his rookie season. The Texans lit up Joe Flacco and the Browns 45-14, with Stroud at the center of it, throwing for 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions in the win. They did go on to lose in the next round to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, but as far as rookie seasons are concerned, this went about as well as Stroud and the Texans could have hoped. But you know what's even better than great numbers combined with playoff success? Greater numbers, and even even more playoff success. That's why at our number 1 spot, recency bias be damned because he deserves it, it's Jayden Daniels. It's always surreal when you realize you're witnessing history, but that's exactly what's happened with Jayden Daniels. Somehow he spearheaded even more drastic of a turnaround than Stroud did with the Texans, taking the Commanders from a 4-13 dumpster fire to a 12-5 season, including multiple playoff wins. Oh, and by the way, of the 6 rookie quarterbacks to ever start in a conference championship game, Daniels is the only one to not have a top 3 scoring defense backing him up. The Commanders defense is 18th. Daniels is executing the most elite carry job by a rookie we've ever seen in the history of the league. Full stop. And we haven't even gotten to his numbers yet. 3,568 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions, along with 891 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. He broke RG3's rookie record for rushing yards by a quarterback and became the 4th rookie to rack up more than 30 total touchdowns, joining Cam, Russ, and Herbert. I hesitate to say that we may never see this combo of elite numbers and playoff success ever again because it does seem like rookie quarterbacks are getting better and better every year, but we may never see this combo of elite numbers and playoff success ever again. Just an unbelievable fairy tale season for Jayden Daniels that I feel genuinely lucky I got to witness. Congratulations, Commanders. You got a good one.